Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here. Okay. First, I don't know whether it's just because I say it all the time, but a few people object to armchair generals, and I know that's sort of a can be used as a derogatory, mark. Oh, those armchair generals back, whether it's back in Washington or just, other types that aren't in the field, don't really know what's going on. And yeah, that can be a negative slam. But I've never been a general. I've often thought I'm good enough in a war game to beat real generals. But again, I want to say that doesn't mean I have the skills to actually run a division or a brigade or whatever, whether they're, the skills in filling out the paperwork, because sometimes it's things like that, or other sorts of skills necessary to be an actual general. They're different, so I'm not trying to be taking anybody's credit for anything that I don't have. Okay, now, the last episode, forget about it. We're going to play this. We're going to replay this, so let's get this going here. I'm not sure we would give them energy for money. Sure, a little bit of money, but that's fine. We got plenty of energy. I'm going to wait until the historical date to annex Czechoslovakia, and I have been thinking about, I haven't made it yet, but I've been thinking about your superiority tactics. Yeah, we're going to continue with that. A special on it, and I was thinking originally going to do it around the Sudeten German, but I decided to wait and do one for the whole Czechoslovakia thing. I'm probably going to wait to do that port strike tactics. I think that one we're going to stop just because I don't care that much about it. And I know there's some events in this, to some degree in my mind, is still doing this series it started out with to show off how great TRE is. And so there's still some events coming that need this basic condition to be going on. France, we would give, yes, you can have energy. France, great. And what just came up? Okay, recon unit coordination. Okay, so we're basically doing all the 38s there. And so let's see, what 39s? We're just days away, might as well start pushing on some of that. Currently we have, what, level 2 pillboxes along here. Probably not enough to hold back even if we manned it. A vigorous, or we'll sell to there, and or we'll sell to you. Stop a vigorous French attack. Okay, infantry unit training, very good. Oh, nice. In this playthrough, we're going to get some of that. Let's move over, I guess, to this radar technology. And, Mein Führer, we have stolen plans that let us improve our abilities in naval air targeting to level 4. Very good. Naval bomber. Okay. And that would be naval air targeting. Okay, very good. And we still have some more. We can switch over. Yeah, radar for ships. What? Yeah, no, don't wait. Right. Okay. Military police, nice. Which one is it? I don't know. Probably that one. Yeah. Yeah, we could do the 39 and that wouldn't be bad, but apply throughput and transfer costs will be critical in dealing with the East. Spain. Yes, you can have some fuel. Okay, barely coming up on rare, improving on rare materials. Steel growing fairly nicely. Coal super nicely. That's a bit oversized. Yeah, I don't think it was 10,000. It's getting near divisional strength. Okay. Kesselschlacht advances. Yeah, we'll let that one continue because that is a paratrooper activation. Very good. I think that's a one and done. Yep. Good. A lot of subsequent things can be researched because of that, but let's just try to ground crew training. Let's take a look over there. Let's switch it down to here. Okay, so we now go from 1 to 2, 5, attack reinforcement, 5% to 10%. In America, we give them money for rare materials. Okay, probably a couple of factories have come online. Yeah, I guess. And no. Let's see with the Soviet Union. Okay, they're producing a surplus of just 3 right now. Wow. What's up with that? Strategic Air Command. I think that's about as far as I want to push, at least for the moment. Well, there we go. Strategic Air Command. I know we've talked about this probably last episode. That was a week or so, well, week or half, 3/4 of a week or so ago when I made that. Okay, well, this does also affect the heavy transport, so let's do that. Yeah, we are not going to First Vienna Awards. I'll get into all of the details of just what. There's a lot of stuff going on. As many of you know, I did create a version, not a complete version, but it was what I was working for one version of Hearts of Iron for TRE for Hearts of Iron 4, just the vanilla game. Energy. And I went in and looked at some of the particularly, and I'm slowly, I mean, I haven't worked on it in weeks, even a little bit, but I'm slowly working to push most of that back into Hearts of Iron 3 TRE for Black Ice. Mostly looked at the buildup of someone got our blueprints of the takeover of Czechoslovakia. Because we've been thinking about Czechoslovakia, of Austria, as well as even more in-depth look at involvement in Switzerland, with both a path for Germany to try to fracture Switzerland, which is sort of what is already in the game. It never does because it didn't happen in reality. And I'm the type of person that I want it to be plausible that it would happen, not, you know, it has to be the historical outcome. You know, it's the idea that I have, like with the Sudetenland, it's like 80% chance peace, 20% chance war. You know, it's not, doesn't have to follow historical, but historical is the greatest outcome. But there is, particularly for France, if you wish to, for the, you know, French player to try to stabilize Switzerland, to counteract German and or Italian attempts to fractionalize it. So, but I also went in and looked at even more in depth at what was going on with Czechoslovakia than I did originally. Yes, you can have the energy. No, we're not going to do that with you because you don't trade back with us. Okay, that's good. Getting down to those. Yes, I'll just keep always looking at that. See if there's anything else that I need to deal with. Okay, so we have this. Guess he's an alright mountain leader. Beetle's a great mountain leader. Okay, artillery unit training advance, very nice. I take all these seriously, but and I think you should too. But some of these others I take. Well, some unlock other things, you know. Sort of eventually gets harder and harder to figure out what needs to be researched to what level to continue pursuing some of these other texts, but trying to unlock the ones that unlock other things. Do some of those first. And destroyer crew training. See, like small damage, small warship damage control is now unlocked because we've increased destroyer crew training to 1939 levels. And since Navy is important but not critical to the German experience here, like cruiser escort, we'll do some of these other things to sort of keep that balanced, but not pushing rapidly ahead. Okay, so we have the 3rd and 2nd Gebirgsjäger divisions coming out of Austria. Over here, no, okay. Direct fire unit training advance. So these mostly I look just to sort of keep them somewhat current to the year. Mm, yeah, we're almost to that, but yeah, let's do some of these, get them done. Now, there's good reason to push early for this. It just obviously gets, particularly Czech industry, into your control. And so it helps you out. And resources, of course. Mobile unit training advanced. So go ahead if you want to push that early. Oh boy, oh boy. Okay. Okay. Oh boy. Look at that right up there. I think it's 640 and we go to bad economic things. God damn. Okay, so what we wanted to come here is we want to drop back down to, yeah, we want to go drop back down to full mobilization. Where are we at that? Let's change laws back down to that. Okay, there's a lot to do after the first year as I expected there to be. I think it is 640. Yeah, 545. That's a little better. I'll re-look that up after this episode just to make sure whether it's 640 or 680. I'm not sure. I think it's one of the two. Okay, take planes for the Luftwaffe. We might need these planes for airborne operations. Shall we request them? They don't need them anymore. We gained descent. Now we can reduce the descent. Some events may come up to do that, but just simply by putting ICs into it. So we could just put, I don't know how many you get right offhand, but they're like Ju-52s, they're not the big ones. Lose 2 in descent to keep them fly, or scrap them if we needed resources. We don't need the resources. I don't think we need the aircraft as of now or later. So we're going to talked about this in the episode that we're skipping. It fired better last time. So sign the treaty, yes. Okay. Yeah, we're getting a lot of bad things here happening because this isn't selected yet. Okay. We're down at full mobilization. Armor unit, combined arms advanced. Don't worry, we'll get to all of this. Single engine fighter prototype. There we go. Armor unit training advance. And there we're going to push over to close air support. Okay, yeah, we'll get some big cannons. Now, we're going to go with economic spying. We're going to go with, well, okay. Yeah, oh, too far down, too far down. Up here, that's what I was looking for. Okay, we've done railroads mining, which is big hit. That was given to us free at the start because this is Germany. They were doing that. We want the manpower. Currently, of course, we have plenty of manpower. But if we don't we can run out of it either through casualties or simply building a large army. So we want to do economic boost long term, which is actually a hit, but it gives us more money, which is nice. But that will allow us to do the long term farm mechanization. But we're going to do national recruiting policy first. I prefer a balanced approach, and I do after reading all of those various stats. Okay, reduce that down. We're down at 0, so we don't need that. Okay, that is good, and we will move you down like that. Not sure what. Let's go with, I don't know, medium bomber. Okay, so we've lost these negative effects. Good. Cast pilot training has advanced. Well, yeah, I guess we'll let that continue. Better organize the IEI. Has been launched, the Littorio, whatever. And we've lost that trade agreement there. Herr Sturmpanzer Battalion 627 motorized. Okay, field unit. It was used in the Polish campaign. It was also used in 1940 France and took part in Russia. The battalion was deployed to the Caucasus by the 1st Panzer Army. Okay, we're going to form the battalion. Yay, good. MAG produced electronic vehicles from 36 to 38, including forklifts and cranes during the Second World War. It doesn't look like. But Jag Panthers, of course, was involved in a program for manufacturing assault guns production. Okay, Jag Panzer began in 44 at MAG, where it was produced until the war's end in December. So we could build this and get tank factory in Brunswick, and 2 anti-aircraft, or not. We're going to do that. Okay, the third well, do you want to mobilize? Yes, we will do this. There's third wave HQs. Okay, so okay, so we now have, what is this? Research center, tank factory here, along with everything else. Lots of anti-aircraft has been put here, so this is not a likely target for much bombing. Okay, which is nice. Well, let's move all these down, get that so into production. Those elite units are good to attach to something else. Okay, annual national focus, still carefully watching that. Don't think there's too much great tweaking. We're going to do Reich economics again. Yeah, next year, 1940, I think manpower maybe, or tank factories, armaments or tank factories is probably where we will go then. 15%. And okay, Breslau, Dortmund, and Königsberg we already have. Okay, gets our heavy industry, good multiplier. And we want to do now farm mechanisms. 100,000 tractors, or 500,000 tractors. Sorry, yeah. That's a hell of a lot of tractors. Seems like maybe that's just an aspirational goal, but 2,000 money, 5,000. Oh boy. Yeah, we have enough, but that's going to dig deep into our metal. That's sort of why I've been trying to make sure that we are generating, and we will also form another squadron here. Okay, did they show up on the field, or are they? Yeah, here. Okay, they're just all in Berlin. Okay, yeah, and somebody asked, and not so long ago, about all of these, and I didn't have a good answer because it has been a long time since I've played all of this. So what these are HQs to form divisions. You can use as HQs for divisions. Boy, I'm forgetting who made units of the Third Reich right offhand. No, Revolver Hells, doing GGA. Sorry, I know you. I just don't not remembering the name. And the D-Worm is doing the D-Worms mods. Okay, so what these are, just basic headquarters that have a cool picture and are named correctly. So these are third wave divisions. So, and as you can see, when you zoom in close, got the cool image, but no, I don't know what, I know some of the famous divisions, their symbols, but just zoom out far enough. And because the way they're keyed to sit on top of a division as opposed to, well, some of the infantry divisions. And yes, you're thinking well enough ahead. And remember, I made these have divisional HQs. Could have just left those out of these build productions that are at the bottom and just built these. And you still could. You could switch, something like these could be switched over. You know, there's other uses for divisional HQs, but they're not that expensive to build. What are they per brigade? 2 ICs for 47 days on their own. And when you have a division that takes longer to build, what it does is it just, I don't know that prorates the right term, that isn't it. It just sort of, you know, if it takes twice as long, what it is the IC cost is half as much for each month, is my understanding is how it works. So, you know, so if you got 100-day roughly build time for a division, well, that means it just approximately a IC for that time. Just some units you can't rush. Okay, well, we'll see about building some divisions for those coming up. But they're not, to the best of my knowledge, any sort of special stats to these divisions. Just cool. Okay, so now we have a lot more, 15% more manpower coming in. So we will be developing it. Hitler gets Man of the Year. We lose a little in dissent. Okay, NS Funk, National Socialist. Funk or Radio, a magazine, Valentine's Day cover, some other sort of covering the party. So sometimes it's, you know, because it is NS Funk, National Socialist, is what that stands for. So sometimes, you know, they're just selling it on, hey, it's Valentine's Day, yay, hooray, and what? Here's radio programming, you know, about the radio programs and what's not. Sometimes it's very, you know, SA, Nazi Party type stuff. Just trying to show you guys what was being published in the Third Reich at the time. Okay, SA Wehrmannschaften, the role of the SA is officially established as a training school for the armed forces. With the establishment of the SA Wehrmannschaften, Heinegaro and everyone else, he likes my funny German pronunciations, SA military units, SA men need to be transferred to all branches of the Wehrmacht. This will make the This will make the hairs more politically reliable. Okay, this is if you have modified. It's not every single one of them. You can go into the coding, so I just didn't include them, but I included some of these key division or key units there. If they are not in existence because either you've disbanded the SA or you have lost them in combat, because theoretically you could have gone to war, say, over Czechoslovakia and used your SA as a militia defense units, which is what they were intended to be, partially. So you won't get this event. We can look now. There is 1,340 manpower. So we're going to, needs men. Notice we jump up to 1,680. So we got over 300 manpower. And there's a lot of stuff happened with that. But before anything more happens, we now have a, see if I let this, okay, yeah, that disappears. That does what it's supposed to do. We now have a new SA appears. So you want to come here, select all of them. And then you want to not have them reinforced. Well, you might, let me restate that, you might want to have them reinforced if you're going to use them in more active. What has just basically happened, oh, is it the SA leader here? Just reattach that to Berlin, there we are. What that did is it removed all of the SA units that were on the map, basically. Like you saw the ones that were put there. Removed all the ones that were reattach the local school. All the ones put there in the start were removed and put back on the map with weaker units in size of manpower. So they still have similar organization and whatnot and fighting abilities, but they're weaker manpower, so they'll crumble quicker in combat, whether attacking or defending. So that is an important element. I don't want Adler in charge of this division. No. Okay, you can have it. So they're weaker. So if you're going to, so they're really less, however good, and of course you could have upgraded, you could have had the upgrade turned on to upgrade them to make okay-ish militia defense units. Now they're really weak militia defense units. They're still exist. They're still around. This is how they were sort of historically. I think on their role books for all these units, they were just as big. I think, again, there's not a lot of information about this, and you can read one of the books, one of the more recent books in the last few years published about the essay that I read, and some of the difficulties the author had in trying to get information on it. There's much more information, at least published, about the essay up until Ernst Röhm is killed. And then information just really plummets off of how much is published. So there's still probably a lot of it in archives, but it just, one, finding it in the archive, whether it's archives in Germany, archives in America, because the U.S. hauled out huge amounts of archives of party stuff and whatnot after the war. And of course, the Soviets hauled out huge amounts, getting Berlin and other areas of archives. And of course, the Germans torched huge amounts of archives to keep them out of enemy hands. Literally either Well, I think maybe torching some buildings, but other times just emptying buildings into trucks or wagons, driving them a short ways into some field or somewhere, and just lighting huge bonfires up. And not just of secret stuff. Just let's torch everything. Secret and non-secret. Just torch everything. And of course, information lost in bombings and other usual sorts of war things. So there's a lot of gray area, and I'm only dealing with published stuff in English that I can find and read. So there's a lot of misinformation out there, I'm sure, and I don't have good information on some of this stuff. Because I've read of a case of an SA man who was somewhere, I think in Western Germany, I think around 1940 or something. He transfers his SA unit, and he's a youngish man, in his 20s, from wherever in Western Germany to Warsaw, to an SA unit in Warsaw, transfers his membership. And he was young man from his photo, looked fit, but he was involved in the armaments industry of some sort, and he was transferred out to Warsaw to work in, I don't know whether as a supervisory or a machinist or whatever sort of role, of an armaments factory that was still in existence and operating in Warsaw. And so he was part of the local SA unit and, had an SA uniform, which is, pictured and all that stuff, for when he's going out and doing SA stuff, because it was part of a documents collection I saw for sale online. I didn't buy it or anything, but just save the information out, and useful for trying to understand what's going on. And so he's transferred out to Poland. And so if you need to call out the local SA for whatever reasons, can be just local rifle training, or it could be to round up some undesirable people or put down an uprising or something like that. You think about the first or second, the Jewish ghetto Warsaw uprising, or the later larger one. He's called to action in doing that, but his day job, or his real, ongoing job, is working in an armaments factory, doing something, I don't know what it was, that was still, I think, at least primarily staffed by Poles. And so there's definitely the idea that people were, and that was a new SA unit created in Warsaw, which is not in the game. I mean, I didn't go in and do that. I did create a few of this stuff. So some of these units were being created well into the war. Mostly, I think, created later on in the idea of expanding into new regions. And there's drastic amount through various drafts, drafting of soldiers and whatnot, of SA men moving into the army. I don't think they were leaving the SA, though, like resigning. And I think they were still carried on the books of a particular SA unit that was like their home region area, whatever. But obviously they're out in the army now. And as the event said, it's very important that Hitler really started to breathe sighs of relief once they start getting conscription. I think it's in 1936. Because they're starting to conscript a lot of SA men into the Army, into the Navy, and into the Air Force, the Luftwaffe, of course. And so that makes those forces more likely to be politically reliable. And so that's an important element for Hitler, at least. And this continues on through this time period. So these SA units, I presume some disappear, but again, I don't have good documentation. I presume some of them are move location, headquarters, and presumably they're shifting personnel, because there are SA units that are created, in Alsace-Lorraine and whatnot. So I don't quite know what's going on with all of these units. So there's definitely, as the war goes on, new units created. But again, like I say, most of them seem to be in newly acquired regions, as opposed to expanding more and more in Berlin, because I used the best records I could get for 36 to see what I thought the SA looked like here in Berlin. Some Army Corps we're looking through. Oh, damn. Okay, I guess should have just done it this way. So we can see all of these units here that are, that's Field Herrenhalle. That's actually an elite guard unit there for Berlin. But all these SA brigades that were there, so this radically reduces the manpower. So I don't know how many of them were expanded or disbanded over time, or their, brigade number and flag and whatnot, or okay, shift all these personnel from the 27th into the 26th, then we'll create the 26th out here, or the 27th or whatever out here, fresh. I believe there's some of that stuff going on. It's just all too complicated to track, especially in a mod like this or a game like this. But this was going on, kept that. So these now still exist. They're just smaller. And you get your much of your manpower back that you lost in the formation of the SA. Excuse me, a little bit of hiccups. Okay, Berchtesgaden meeting with Polish Foreign Minister Joseph Beck. Adolf Hitler confirms that the claims made by the German Foreign Minister Jakob von Ribbentrop in an interview. So we are a little out of date for changing over from Narath over to Ribbentrop. We will do that once the war goes. Because you get some good stats for once the war is going, but he reduces consumer goods by 5% during peacetime, so that's a really big bonus. In an interview with the ambassador Joseph Lipsky, October 30, 1938, Danzig to the Reich connection setting extraterritorial highway and a railway through Pomerania, Poland's accession to the Anti-Comintern Pact, mutual guarantee limits extension of Polish-German non-aggression pact for 25 years. Okay, so basically what this is a demand for the Danzig corridor, or a corridor connecting extraterritorially, and that they have to join the Anti-Comintern Pact, and a 25 years agreement for the current borders. Of course, a lot of that is bullshit. Trying to put demands that seem reasonable, but that the Poles won't accept, is basically what they're trying to do. Elections in the Reichsgau Sudetenland. So there's a Reichsgau created for much of the Sudetenland, and that's the ballot that was one of the versions of the ballots that were used. Reduces our descent even more and whatnot. Okay. Okay, let's save this after all of the good stuff happening at the first of the year. Good. And I think we're going to end the episode here. Just getting a bit long. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. Again, if you haven't already, please subscribe. See you next time for more, yes, even more Hearts of Iron.